Welcome to the video, and this isn't just a bad haircut, no, this is the results of a hair transplant that I had yesterday. And as I promised, I'm going to do a mini series explaining or answering all the questions that I had that I'm sure you will have as well. So, you know, how much did it cost? What was the procedure like? What's the aftercare like? All those sorts of things. So this is episode 1. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and let's get on with it.
It's gonna have a little pressure on it as well.
I like it.
Swollen.
Yeah.
This is why you don't want to leave it on too long, because does that hurt him?
Yeah. Do you want to take it?
I can't. I need to be really careful and gentle with it. So you just do this bit, because I need to be so gentle. It's like, I think we've left it on a bit too long.
Might be a little bit. Right, anyway, let me try and put you down here. I promised that I would explain the whole process, the journey I've gone on, what it's like, the aftercare, all that sort of thing, once I had it done. So this is it. I had it done yesterday, and I had it done at a place called KSL Clinic. This is not a paid promotion, it's not, I don't work for them or anything like that. I found them, in fact I didn't even find them, my brother found them online. I did a bit of research, checked them out, had a consultation, liked it and went ahead. How much did it cost? I know everyone wants to know how much it cost. It costs £6,000. They do offer finance. I think the maximum would be 6.5, depending on how many hair grafts you need. So if I had more hair loss, it would have cost me more than obviously for what I've already had. So the whole thing takes like half a day, probably best, yeah, half a day. So I got there 7:15 in the morning, did a bit of paperwork, etc., got started, and I was home by 2:30, 3 o'clock sort of time. So that's how long it takes to actually do the procedure. The procedure itself is actually very, very simple and pretty much in the whole pain-free. So first of all, what they do is they take the donor hair, as they call it, which for me, my donor hair was the hair at the sides and back of my head. So what they have is this tiny little tool, looks like a little pipette sort of thing, and it's a little drill. And they'll drill and pick the hairs that they want from the sides and back of your head, and then they'll pluck them out. But what's interesting about it, each hair graft, shall we say, can sprout more than one hair. I think they can sprout up to a maximum of 3. And as they go around, they'll pick the most appropriate hairs. So they'll pick ones that are only producing 1 hair, one that are producing 2, and ones that are producing 3 hairs. And they'll put them into separate piles, probably more professional than put them in piles. And then they'll place those hair grafts in the most appropriate place for them so that it looks as real as possible. So the hair grafts that only produce 1 hair, they'll put in the fringe because they want it to be like a soft, a natural look. And then it will work back to the hair grafts that are producing 3 hairs, so then it's thicker, and just so they'll make it look as natural as possible. So I just thought they just plucked out and put them in, but there is actually, they can see how many hairs each graft is producing and then put them in the most appropriate place. So I thought that was quite interesting. The only painful part, right, is the anesthetic injection. That is horrid. If you imagine what it's like if someone just grabs a little hair at the bottom of your neck and pulls it out, that's gonna hurt. It feels like that, but a little bit worse, and they have to do it several times to numb the whole area. So that was the only painful thing about it. Apart from that, I had my face down in the table, or the bed, whatever you want to call it, and they took the hairs out the back of my head, and with that whole process, I actually was in and out of sleep because it was an early start. And then once they'd collected all the hairs, I sat up, they drew the hairline on that I wanted, or what they decided was the best thing, because they'll draw your most natural hairline on first, and then you sort of work with them to say, okay, actually I want a bit straighter here or whatever. And it's good because they'll say, don't have it like this because it will look fake and straight, and just, so, you know, as you can see, there's a slight curve, because, you know, you want it to look natural, and, you know, you don't want to look, I mean, I'm happy to tell people I've had a hair transplant, but I want it to still look as natural as possible so that people don't go, oh, look at that guy, he's had a hair transplant. The next process is really interesting. So they then use it's like a needle with a big hole in it, and they will then make the incisions in your hairline as to where they want them to go. But what I found interesting was that they don't just make any random hole. They have to make the hole at the right angle, so that when they do put the hair into the hole, there's probably more of a scientific word for it than the hole, then it's got to be at the right angle, because you don't want to create like a cow's lick when your hair's going all over the place, and you know, you got them going from left to right. You want them to obviously be all coming forward and the side ones coming down, etc. So they'll grow as they should grow, and you don't have them all sprouting all over the place and it'll look terrible. The whole time I was just sat there, obviously my head was numb, so I'm just sat there and I just watched Netflix while they were jabbing away at my head and all. You know, honestly, the whole thing was a doddle, apart from the painful anaesthetic injections. Fine. I asked this question, I said, look, I've seen people have hair transplants and they don't look any good. Why is mine, you know, how can you tell me that mine is going to look good and that I should have it done? It's all to do with the donor hair that you have, and you can only work with the hair that you have. And what I mean by that is, if you have thin, wispy hair, let's say the donor area is where mine was, around the side of your head, they'll take thin and wispy hair and they'll put that in your fringe. So your fringe is then going to be thin and wispy. It's not going to all of a sudden be thick and luscious. If you've never had thick and luscious hair, they're just, what they're doing is just moving your existing hair into the place where you want it. So when you see some people that have had bad hair transplant, it might be that they've just got thin, fair, wispy hair in the first place. It might be that obviously they've had a bad hair transplant, of course. But normally I think it's because that they have just got weak hair to start with. Weak hair, that sounds a bit insulting. I'm actually surprised. I didn't think I was receded as what, I mean, I know I was receded, but I mean, there's a lot more hair that they moved than I thought they'd had to. So I've had a total of, I think it was 1,873 hair grafts, which equates to about over 4,000 hairs, because obviously each hair graft can produce more than one hair. So about 4,000 hairs, I think they told me, that will sprout out of my fringe now. So aftercare, there's a few things to mention with regards to aftercare. Now, first of all, as you can see on my neck, I've got this little pillow because I can't touch my hair at all. The hairs have literally just been placed in the hole, so you have to give it time for it to take and then, you know, start growing and do its thing. So you can't touch it. So when you sleep, you have to sleep on your back, and you have to have a neck pillow like this so that you don't roll over and accidentally rub your head on the pillow or anything like that, because then the hair will literally fall out. Because I thought I was going to struggle sleeping on my back, because I think only vampires sleep on their back, but actually when you've got one of these, you don't get tempted to want to roll over, and just, yeah, honestly, it was fine. Now you obviously need to take the obvious medication as well. So I've had very little pain since, in fact I've had pretty much no pain since the operation. The night of the operation I had a painkiller that they gave me because I had a bit of a headache, and that was it. And you've got to take antibiotics for a couple of weeks, which I think goes without saying. If you have any sort of operation, antibiotics is a sensible thing to do. Is they give you this saline solution, and so every other hour I have to spray this onto the transplant area. It needs to be kept clean and moist. A few sprays across the transplant area and that's it. And I've got to do that, I think, for 5 or 6 days. I know I haven't done a normal video, as in like a fitness video of mine, for a little while, but I'm actually gutted that my training is going so well at the time. I'm having to have 2 weeks off. I know it's only 2 weeks, and in the grand scheme of things, I mean, what's 2 weeks really? I mean, I should bounce back fairly quickly from only having a 2-week break. But I really wanted to show you guys the journey, because me and my brother have got some great training going. We bought some really good equipment for the gym, and just absolutely loving it, making great progress, and now I've got to have 2 weeks off. So it's a bit annoying, but so what I am going to do in this 2 weeks is really just dial back my diet. So make sure that I am eating low calories so that I don't become a fat slob from lazing around. Keep my protein up so I can hold on to and maintain my muscle and things like that. So basically I have a week off of work to laze around and do absolutely nothing and just let myself heal. So the plan is going to be to do a video every day for that week and show you the progress, explain to you what I'm doing, what are, you know, the aftercare, just show you the results really. And if anybody's thinking of getting one done, then this might be a good little mini series to watch to give you an idea on what to expect. So see this fringe become something quite cool, hopefully. Right, anyway, I've waffled too much. Thank you so much for watching, and join me on this journey. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.